When I went into the start box, and before I actually went there, the most important thing that I felt I had to do was just to give the horse confidence in the first 3-4 minutes of jumping. I started off over the first fence just really nicely. The second fence, we had a right-hand turn into it and couldn't be too quick to it. It was a seat that we had to jump, and I just got a really nice distance with that, with Moonfleet. And by this stage, I was just starting to run in a nice rhythm. Then came the first minute mark. I was like 2 seconds down on the first minute, so I was really happy with that. Then came the arena complex, where we jump a white gate, turn left-handed to a big box table, then left-handed to the box table, and then right-handed to a ditch and brush. And there's four related strides around that turn, and I had a really nice ride round there, and so was starting to feel that the horse was getting confidence. Then came the 2-minute mark just before fence 6, where we had to turn left-handed into a very big gate. I was about 5-6 seconds down on the 2-minute mark, but there was no way over fence 6, 7, A and B that I could make up any time, because it was a very sharp right-hand turn, and then it was a related distance of 5 strides between A and B. And so important for me was the jumping, that the horse had really good jumps and then wasn't exhausting himself by putting in too big an effort. Then we had to run uphill and then downhill a little bit towards the brush and ditch, which came very quickly. The ditch was 1 stride after jumping the brush. The horse couldn't see the ditch until they were on top of the brush. And then he really looked. I just sat quiet, kept my leg there, kept the confidence of the horse to say, come on, go on. And then as I did 4 strides on an angle up to another brush, which had quite a big drop behind it. And so I just allowed the horse to jump in the air and just sat very quietly as he landed, and then ran on along a very narrow fence between 2 fences, and the crowd was quite close there to the 3-minute mark, of where I was about 8 seconds down in the 3-minute mark. A right-hand turn, very sharp right-hand turn at the 3-minute mark, up over a pimple with a brush, and he had a very big jump over that, but really got his legs in the air and jumped fantastic. Then on up, over a house, turn right-handed, over a log, down a very steep hill, and that was excellent, the way the horse was jumping. Then came the 4-minute mark just before fence 12, which was a ditch in front of a flower bed that we had to jump over. A left-hand turn, I ran quickly around the turn, jumped that, and then it was the next minute, in that 4-minute to the 5-minute mark, where we only jumped 2 fences, fence 12 and fence 13, which was a gate at the top of the hill just before you came to the first water complex. And that was a very tough minute, because the ground was quite deep there and very holding, and it was uphill, and so I just had to nurse him all the way up that hill, jump the gate, big gate. It can catch a few riders out. I had a really good jump over that, ran downhill to a bounce, which I think was a very good bounce. Like, normally riders don't like bounces, but the bounce was a very good in the way that it was placed and the way that the ground was for the horses to get in the air and have a good clean jump over that bounce into the trout hatchery. Then we turned right-handed, running out of the water, came back in over another log into the water. It's a very holding 3 strides across that distance in the upper trout hatchery, and then it's jumped up a ledge which only stands at about a metre high, and then it's 2 holding strides to a very narrow brush that we had to jump through. Then it's a long run to the pigsty, I think it's called, where we had to jump 3 boxes, the very big square fences. It was 3 strides before between A and B on a right-hand turn, and then a very quiet 5 strides on a left-hand turn to another very big table that we had to jump over. Then we ran downhill, and the ground got very holding halfway down the hill, right on the 7-minute mark, so I didn't want Moonfleet to run too fast, over a big ditch brush with a very big drop behind, and 2-metre drop behind it. And so to land and run down that was really a big jump. Then right-handed, very quickly, came a water complex that we had to run through the water. We 1 stride in the water and then another stride to over a bullfinch in the water. That jumped well. Moonfleet really got in the air well. Then ran on and jumped the train. I had a real flyer to the train because I thought the ground was good there. I knew the ground was good. Then up to fence 21, which is capabilities cutting, over a big table. That was the 7-minute mark, and again I was around 14 seconds down on time there. Jumped that, two strides to a log, then down a very steep hill, across a road, up a very steep hill on the other side to zigzag type fence, and so really had to ride Moonfleet to a very particular spot there. He jumped that well. I thought he was going to run left, catch a knee. Then I ran on very quickly to the 9-minute mark, and I was down. I just caught up a little bit on time, round over a very big ditch and log. Then we ran down the avenue where all the winners have plaques on the side of the avenue to the Cat's Whiskers. This, for me, was one of the biggest fences on the course. It was a brush which was in the shape of an oxer, very high brush. When we landed, you landed well out from that. You had to be careful not to have too much speed because you're running downhill. Then it was a very tight left-hand turn, 4 related strides to another very narrow brush that we had to jump. I think I had probably one of the better jumps over that for the day, but not a jump that I was really happy about. Then we ran on to just a wall that we had to turn to just in front, then on around to the last water complex and jumped through that fine. The next minute marker was your 13 minutes where it was starting. I was down on time. I knew I couldn't make any time up, jumping 2 round tables, very sharp left-hand turn, through a keyhole and then onto the finish, and I was 10 seconds outside the time.